This is The Show, Battles of the Great War. It's a two-player game about trench warfare from 1914 to 1918. Nations of the Entente and Central Powers alliances balance two resources, supply and reserves, using industrial logistics to break their enemy's front line before their own front collapses. Go all in on troops, you'll run dry on ammo. Stockpile ammo, you'll have no one left to fire it. Here's what you need to know before we sit down to play. This video series is a full breakdown of every system in the game. Setup, the board, movement, the turn structure, your resources, fog of war, tactics, combat, unit types, and how you actually win. Watch it start to finish the first time through, or just jump to whichever part you need before a game. Let's start with setup. First, pick your side. There's Central Powers and Entente, each with a few playable countries. Can't agree who plays who? Use the bid system. Offer your opponent extra free starting logistics to get the pick you want. Still stuck? Just roll for it. Next, pick a year, 1914 through to 1918, or any year in between. The year sets starting industrial logistics, how many free trenches and defensive structures you get, and how fought over the battlefield has been. Later years, you start richer, more bogged down, while the trenches and fortifications have yet to fully take over in the early years. Then pick where you're fighting. Western Front, Eastern Front, Gallipoli, wherever. That decides which weather and front condition cards show up each round. Mud, snow, storms, that kind of terrible thing that adds misery to terror. You can use preset front conditions representing these areas, or make your own deck representing the area you are fighting over. Front conditions cards have 5 levels of weather on each card. Each round, or more often if you choose, you draw a new front condition card. If the card is of the same type already present on the battlefield, the level of that card escalates. For example, a single front condition card may be in play impacting the battlefield with a level 1 effect. If that same card is then drawn again, the level 2 effect and level 1 effect are now in play. This is significant because if there are 5 levels of front condition cards affecting the battlefield, then there are 5 total negative effects, all impacting the board. This can seriously disrupt your plans or ability to make meaningful gains. If a different front condition card type is drawn, then the level is instead lowered by 1 level. Front conditions already at level 1 are removed and replaced by the new front condition card. Once all that's locked in, both players again use the bid system to determine which army will start as the attacker and which will start as the defender. Once that is settled, players spend their starting logistics on units, supply, or sector features, all before anything actually goes on the board. Purchases stay hidden from your opponent, adding real unknowns to the battlefield. The defender sets up first, placing their purchases wherever they want on their side of the board. Free defensive structures are placed along with those purchased. Purchased units are placed on the board. Once complete with a defensible line, the attacker does the same. Last step, drop any free craters your scenario gives you onto open ground sectors. Included in your box is a quick reference game screen. This is a useful quick reference for unit values, costs, and effects. For more complex questions, you will have to check the rulebook, but for simple lookups, this is a useful guide. So what are you playing for? This is a war of inches, not miles. Every inch gained is precious and every inch lost is devastating. At the end of the game, both players calculate a victory score based on how far they've pushed into enemy territory. You get points for every sector you're occupying outside of your starting trench lines, a small amount for no man's land, more for holding a piece of the enemy frontline trench, even more for support trenches, and most of all for occupying the enemy's reserve trenches with your forces. The gap between the two final scores decides the outcome. A close result within 5 points is a stalemate. Somewhere between 5 and 10 points ahead is a limited success. 10 to 15 is an operational success. More than 15 points ahead, and that's a full strategic victory. If a player just gives up before the game naturally ends, that's called an honorless surrender. That player loses, should feel a great amount of shame, and should rethink their future strategies. But there's one way this game can end instantly, regardless of score, a breakthrough victory. In the casualty phase, If a player's industrial logistics tracker board would ever fall lower than the minimum number of industrial logistics positions available on the board, the opposing player wins a breakthrough victory as their opponent's front line crumbles completely. This is most likely caused by either bad strategy resulting in not enough industrial logistics growth, or by having enemy units sitting next to your supply depot at the end of a casualty phase who burn your supply depot. Either way, once a player's industrial logistics are pushed all the way down past the lowest point on the tracker, after at least one full round has been completed, the game ends immediately. The surviving player wins a total victory, no matter what the score actually was. And that's it. You're ready to play and know what you are playing for. Next video, we get into the board itself.